Hello dartsuts, I'm going to do a review of the new out 180 Gladiator 3, and thanks to 180 for sending the board. When I reviewed the Gladiator 2 I thought it was a really nice board, so I've been looking forward to trying this myself, but as you can see it's got Gladiator graphics on the box again, and this time with the board you get the rotor fix supplied. And I've done a review on the rotor fix already, so I'll put a link to that, so I'm probably not going to go into detail on the rotor fix again. It's just some instructions now to set the board up. Inside you get your brackets for fitting the board. You've got a standard type of bracket, and then you've also got the fittings for the rotor fix. And you've got the instruction leaflet for the rotor fix and the instructions for the board, and the rotor fix is in this little cardboard insert which was inside the box, but I'm probably not going to set my board up with this because I've got a light and surround, so I'm probably just going to use the normal bracket. But if you are going to set the board up, I highly recommend you use the rotor fix. It's a really good idea, and it makes turning the board really simple and easy. It takes a little bit of time to set up, but once you've got it set up, that's it, you don't need to bother. And the other advantage with the rotor fix is it helps to deaden the sound of the board, so I do recommend that you use that for fitting the board. But if you watch my review on that, you'll see how it works. So that's what's inside the box. We'll have a look at the board now. Now the board will be on sale for €59, which is around about £51 I think, somewhere around that. Initially I don't really know what the improvements are. The spider looks just as good as it did on the G2. It's a very nice thin spider. The board itself is very nice and flat, and it's all very uniform. It's got the traditional wire ring, so I'm not quite sure what the improvements are over this board to what the G2 was. It could be that the sisal has been improved, because a lot of people did say they thought the G2 was a little bit dense, so we'll find that out soon. But looking at the board itself, it's a really nice looking board. The only thing that I have noticed with my board, and it probably won't be the same on all the boards, but I think you should be able to see it, there's a very kind of a darkish band there on the number 13. I don't know if you can see that, and you'll probably see it a bit later when I do it. And there's some lighter marks around the spider. Now the only thing I can think of, it's caused by the machine pressing the spider into place, and my guess is it's been done when the ink hasn't fully dried, so it's probably maybe taken off a little bit of the ink, but it's not a massive issue, and it probably looks worse than it is because I've got the lights on. If I turn my lights off, you probably can't see it as much, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. And like I said, I doubt if you'll have that problem on your board, but I'll show you a close-up of the board in a minute, and we'll do some measurements as usual. But I have to say, I think it's generally very neat. All the colours are nicely filled in. There's no colour bleeding into the segments, not that I can see. And the surface of the board is very smooth, and it's very uniform. And although this is a board with veins in, they don't really show up as much as what they do on some other boards, so it looks very good to me. Right, I'll just do some close-ups of the board. First of all, the logos, the 180 logo and the Gladiator 3 logo. And what we have here is the England Darts Organisation logo. These boards are sponsor the EDO as far as I know, and as you can see, the bullseye it looks nice and centre. Sometimes you get the bullseye which looks a little bit off, but that looks as if it's bang in the centre. And we'll have a close look at the spider. Now the only thing that I've noticed, which at least I don't remember seeing on the G2, is the legs that come out from the spider. They've got these little square things, and I think it's probably the spike that goes into the board. It's not really a big issue, but I just thought I'd point that out. But as you can see, it's got this lighter band around the spider, and I think that's caused by some of the ink being taken off when it's being pressed into place. But like I say, it doesn't really have a big effect on the thing. And there's the darker band there. So I don't know how the machine does it, but my guess is there's been something on two sides of there while it's pressed the spider in, and it's probably took off some of the black ink from there. And I guess it's probably happened when the ink hasn't been fully dry. But apart from that, the rest of the colours look perfectly neat and perfectly in place. No colour bleeding onto other segments. All looks really nice and neat. And as you can see, the spider is very thin, and it's kind of hard to get an impression of the surface of the board. I'll just lift it up a little. So you can see it's all very uniform, very nice and flat, and there's no like major blemishes in the sisal, not like sometimes you get little bits missing in that. So have a close look at the bullseye. So once again, it's got a very thin spider, and it's got a traditional clear silver wire numbering, and your brackets for fitting onto the board. And I'll just show you the back of the board. On the back it's got some markings so you can fit the rotor fix, or if you don't want to fit it, you can use the normal bracket. But what I like about the 180 boards is they have a little threaded section there so you can put a bolt in, which is a nice idea. So that's a close look at the board. Now I'm just going to do my thumbnail test, and that is quite soft actually. It certainly doesn't feel as dense as what I remember the G2 was, so my guess is the board has probably had an improvement made on the sisal. I'll check the black, because sometimes the ink it's a little bit harder there though. It certainly goes in very easy on the white section, but on the colour it doesn't go in so easy. So if anything, you may find the black and coloured sections a little bit harder to penetrate, but once the board wears in, it should be okay. Feels a little bit easy on the red, so I think that is just down to the inks that they use. Sometimes I think the ink just binds the surface of the sisal fibres a little, but it'll soon wear in. But it goes in really nice and smooth on the white. But obviously we'll have to see when the points go through when we throw some darts at it. But my guess is they've changed the density of the sisal, so it could be a better board for the people that might have had problems before with the G2 saying it was too hard. Right, so I'll just take some measurements of the board. Right, I'm going to measure the bullseye first. That says 12.71, and from the other side it's 8.37, 8.31, so it's pretty much spot in the middle. There's only fractions of a millimetre, which neither here nor there, and the diameter is 31.7, The triple segment, 32/16 wide, double segment. I'm not going to measure every segment obviously. 51.98, and I'll just reset this. The thickness of the segment is 9.26, so still the same depth as it was on the G2, so both pretty much equal there, 9.22. I'll measure how central the spider is. So I'm going to measure from the top of the wire to the outside of the board. That is 54.16, and this one, let's get it in the center, so 53.53, so quite close there. It's only about a millimeter, and that one 53.18, and the bottom one it's a bit awkward. So 54.1, so I'd say it's within about a millimeter all round, so it's pretty good that. I'm just measuring the diameter of the board. A little bit awkward trying to do it on the camera at the same time, but it's just a fraction under 45 centimeters. And the only reason I'm measuring that is because sometimes people ask whether the surround that they buy will fit a certain board, and often the boards are slightly different in diameter, so that's just for your information if you want to add a surround and you need to know if it's going to fit or not. So I would say 45 centimeters is the diameter, and what I'm going to do now is put the board up and throw some darts. Right, I've got the board set up now, and like I said, I've put it in my lighting surround, so I haven't used the rotor fix. I've just used the normal bracket. I'm just going to throw these 22-gram darts. These are Nico Blum darts, so just in case you're wondering what weight I'm throwing. Well, that sounded really very quiet, and the way that the darts have pulled out, it feels to me as if it's nowhere near as hard as what the G2 was. So just looking at the holes are very tiny, so it could be a good healing board. Pretty much sounds the same on the bottom as well as the top. I'm just looking for the holes. The holes are there. They're very small though. I don't really see it showing up as much on the black. Obviously I've got my lights on, so it's probably stronger than a normal light, just for the video. But that sounds quite a nice board. I think if you had the I think if you had the rotor fix on and had it flat against the wall, it would probably be even quieter. This is kind of got a bit of a gap in between the wall and the board, so it's probably a little bit more echoey with this surround on, but I may have to try and get this fitted up with the rotor fix again, just to see how quiet it is with that. But it sounds pretty much the same no matter where the darts hit. I think it sounds just a tiny little bit harder around the centre, but then again nearly all the boards do. But that dart is going in really easy on the bullseye in the 25, hardly any pressure at all, so I'm pretty sure that this isn't quite as hard as the G2 board. It seems to be harder on the black though for some reason. The red and the green seem to be fairly soft, and the white is definitely soft, but I don't know, maybe the black's probably been applied a little bit deeper, so maybe it's binding the fibres a little bit more. But sometimes I think that's a good thing, because when you push the dart in, I pushed it right up to the point there as far as I can get. It won't go any further. And pull it out and I don't see any of the whiteness of the fibres underneath, and I think that's a good thing. And the hole is barely visible, so it could be a really nice board for wear. I think the G2 that I had originally, it wore well, so this looks like it could be the same, but obviously I can't test that in a short review. It takes time to test how the board wears, and at the moment I'm in the process of testing the HD2, so what I'll do is I'll do an update on this board maybe in about 3 months time, because by then I'll have probably played on it long enough to see how it's going. But I'm quite impressed by the sound of it and the feel of it and the way the darts are going in, and it looks a very nice board again. Like I said, there was only that slight issue there, but from the hockey I can't even see that what I pointed out, so it's certainly not bothering me that little bit. And I've seen a picture of G3 elsewhere and there was none of that there, so I probably just got a bit unlucky there. Maybe I've got a board where the ink has been a little bit too wet and it's just came off a little bit when the spider's being pressed in. On the whole, I think the spider is really nice and neat, apart from these little square bits on the very end where the legs are. I think that's only going to be a problem if your dart hits it. I don't think it's going to cause any other issues other than that. But like I said, the only thing that is a big change is this board. It is quite a little bit more expensive. I know you get the rotor fix with it, but you can still get the G2s at around about half price, nearly, or thereabouts. It's hard to say whether or not you should go for a G3, but I think if you think the G2 is a little bit too hard for you, the G3 may be the best one. It certainly feels different to me than what I can remember. It doesn't feel quite as hard as the G2, and I often think that when you've got a slightly softer surface, I think it tends to be better for healing, and it's kind of up in the air whether or not it's better for wear. Sometimes the harder boards wear and last longer, but it's all 6 and 2 3s really. So that's about as much as I can do with that. So that's the end of the review. Thanks for watching.